Good evening, Booktube. Tonight's video is not necessarily a tag, although it is in the format of a tag because it's something all booktubers should do. It's a very simple, straightforward concept. The tag is called the To Die For tag, and it was started by a new booktuber called Peter the Book Lover. His name, the channel name, will be in the description, but for complicated reasons that I'm not going to get into, I cannot link up. But I discovered it through another booktuber called Pax Panic. Okay, so there's my shout outs for today. Apologies that I can't make links in the description, but my shout out list is getting longer. Anyway, it's a very simple concept. The 5 books you desire the most on your wish list. Now, you might know that I don't have what you call a TBR because I don't have a schedule for what books to read at any particular month. I don't have that. Although I might be in the beginning stages of one because I have my eyes on several books that I already have. I plan to read those books and I already have them. So I'm going to go through my wish list and I'm going to exclude books that I already have but I have not read that I have my eyes on. And I'm also going to exclude the books that I lost, because even they are on my wish list as well, because I want to reread them or read them for the first time in one case. I'm going to exclude them because I already talked about them in another video. So I'm going to give you 5 books that I desire the most from my wish list. So I have my notebook here now with my wish list. So the first book that I really want to buy once I have the money, and once I have the money for it, and once I've read the other books that I have my eyes on, that I have within reach, that I have in my home or in my work library or in my parents' home. The first book that I wish to buy is Son of Heaven by David Wingrove, which is the first book in the recast Middle Kingdom series. I'm not going to tell you more about that series, and I'm not going to tell you more about the story, because I plan to make a long video about that series soon. I'm not going to commit to a date, but it is on my list of videos to make. I'm not going to make commitments I can't keep, so almost there. I almost made a promise I couldn't keep. Anyway, the second book that I have my eyes on is Through Darkest Europe by Harry Turtledove. It's an alternate history novel. The story is a little bit hard to describe. It's what if Europe and the Middle East flipped. So what if the Middle East were, as of today, very progressive and forward-thinking and leaders of innovation in the world? Of course, that to some case it is. In the case of Israel. Politics. Politics screws up everything, right? But what if it was the Middle East that was the progressive and innovation hub of the world, as opposed to Europe that colonized the world? Where Europe and the Middle East flip in socio-economic development. So what if Europe became a hotbed of Christian fundamentalism and terrorism. Like, I believe it was like 19 of the 9/11 hijackers. Well, no. Not 19. That was 19 total. But a majority of the 9/11 hijackers were from Saudi Arabia. So, what if Europe was a hotbed of terrorism and backward thinking, whereas the Middle East was the hub of progressive democratic ideals? What if it were the other way around, yeah? So, but yeah, politics, yeah, that's going to screw things up. But I'm interested, but that concept is interesting, by Harry Turtledove. See, this is why I asked that question in my BookTube newbie tag. Is politics a deal breaker for other booktubers? This is an example why I asked that question. Okay, book number 3. Lord of the World by Robert Hugh Benson. Published in 1907. At first I thought The Iron Heel by Jack London was the world's first modern dystopia, but upon further research I know it was Lord of the World that came a year earlier. It's the Catholic version of how the world will end, the end times. I don't appreciate Christian conspiracy theories very much, but the book did accurately predict a lot of modern day trends, similar to Jack London's The Iron Heel, which came out a year later. So I am very interested in that one. So that one turns out to be the first modern dystopia, and it reminds me of Tim LaHaye's Left Behind series, a much earlier version and a Catholic version. Not that I would agree with the author's ideas, but it's interesting because there were some accurate predictions in there. So I really want to read that one. That's a classic. So that's 3 books. 2 more. Swastika Night by Katharine Burdekin. She actually, it's a female author. This book was published in 1937. It reads like an alternate history, but it's not. It was published in 1937. And I believe the author went under a pen name. You can look this up. I'm not going to I don't have the pen name off the top of my head right now, but yeah, it's a future society where Nazi Germany has dominated the world and Hitler has been deified. Again, it reads like an alternate history, like The Man in the High Castle, but it was published in 1937, before World War II. So it's similar to that book, It Can't Happen Here by Sinclair Lewis, which as of today, when you read it, it reads like an alternate history, but at the time of its publication, it was not. It was speculation of what might happen in the near future. So I'm interested in that one. Another early dystopia. And it reminds me of It Can't Happen Here by Sinclair Lewis. And the 5th book that I desire to read the most. By the way, the books were not in order of which ones I liked the most, which ones I wanted. We're not in any particular order. They were just 5 random picks out of my list here. Anyway, the 5th book is The Ministry of the Future by Kim Stanley Robinson. This is an environmental sci-fi, a climate change sci-fi. But it's not a dystopia. It is human beings coming together and forming this committee, this ministry over how the whole world agrees to come together to tackle the issue of climate change. So this is actually an optimistic book. It's not a utopian book because you can see the effects of climate change in the book. But it is one of optimism of what can be done if humans work together to solve the world's problems. So that's one of my few books that I'm optimistic, that has an optimistic outlook. There are many more books in this list, but I could only pick 5. So I will list every book I mentioned in this video in the description. Okay, thanks for listening. Goodbye.